Hello, my dear students. This is Chapter 9, Lesson 3, What is Magnetism? So before talking about magnetism, let's see what is a magnet. A magnet is an object that attracts objects that contain iron. So it's an object that attracts objects that contain iron, as in this one in the picture. Now, does it attract any other objects? Let's see. So as you saw in this video, magnets cannot attract papers or wood or plastics, only objects that contain iron. Now you might ask, do magnets attract other metals? Now let's see. This is iron, aluminum, magnesium, copper, gold, silver, platinum. So as you saw, it did not attract any of the metals but the iron. Now, what is magnetism? It's a non-contact force that pulls on objects that contain iron. So, it's the non-contact force that pulls on objects that contain iron. So, the magnet attracts objects that contain iron because it has magnetism. It has this kind of force that attracts objects that contain iron. Now, look at this picture. There are different shapes and sizes of magnets, and all of them attract objects that contain iron, and all of them have magnetism. Also, all of them have two poles. A pole is called magnetic pole. What is a magnetic pole? It's the part of the magnet that has the strongest push or pull. So it's the strongest part of the magnet. We have two poles, North Pole and South Pole. So each magnet has two poles, North Pole and South Pole. S means south and means north. So magnetic pole is the part of the magnet that has the strongest push or pull. Now let's see what happens when I put two magnets near each other. Now, as you saw in the video, sometimes these two magnets, they repel each other and sometimes they attracted each other. So why do they attract or why do they repel each other? So they repel each other when the poles are the same. If I have north and north and south, and they attract each other when the poles are different, north and south. Let's watch another video about that. So these are the same, so they will repel each other. You can see this one is moving away. Now when they are different, they attract each other. See? So as I said, same poles repel, different poles attract. Now the force that pushes magnets away from each other or pulls them together is called magnetic force. It is called magnetic force. So what is a magnetic force? It's the force that pushes magnets away from each other or pulls them together. Now what is a magnetic field? It is the space around a magnet in which the force of a magnet can act. What does that mean? Now, first of all, the magnetic field is invisible. We cannot see it, but it's around the magnet. If the object that contains iron is inside the magnetic field, the magnet can attract it. But if it's outside the magnetic field, the magnet will not be able to attract it. The magnetic field is strongest near the pole of a magnet because the strongest part of the magnet is the pole, so of course also it has strongest magnetic field. Now let's see, what do I mean by if the object is inside the magnetic field, the magnet attracts it, and if it's outside, the magnet cannot attract it. See this one. Now here are the magnets, and these are safety pins. Because they are outside the magnetic field, magnets cannot attract them. But when they become inside the magnetic field of each magnet, the magnet will be able to attract it. Now let's watch this one, how it's going to move when it becomes inside the magnetic field. Then this one has the weakest magnetic field, or the smallest one. Now let's see it one more time. Now I want you to watch these two, okay? Now this one is outside the magnetic field, that's why the magnet cannot attract it. When it becomes inside the magnetic field of this magnet, the magnet will attract it. Now watch it carefully. So at the moment when it enters the magnetic field of the magnet will attract it. Now how does the magnetic field look like? It is invisible, but there is a way to see it. How does it look like? It is by using something called iron filings. It's a powder of iron, the iron powder. When you spread the iron filings, the iron filings take the shape of the magnetic field around the magnet. Now let's see how. See, this is iron filings, and see how they take the shape of the magnetic field. So this is the shape of the magnetic field of the magnet. See? And because the pole has the strongest magnetic field, that's why it has a lot of iron filings around it. Let's watch another one. Now, this is also the shape of the magnetic field of this magnet. As I said, if the object is inside this space, because this is the magnetic field now, the magnet will attract it. But if it's outside the magnetic field, which is all this space is outside here, that means the magnet will not be able to attract it. So only if the object is inside the magnetic field, the magnet will attract it. Now, we know that magnets are able to attract objects through air. So what about water and solids? Let's see. So as you saw here, the magnet can actually attract objects through water and through solids like this cup. So it attracts objects through air, water, and solids. Now, magnetic field of Earth. Earth acts as a big magnet and it has magnetic field. It has the magnetic field because inside Earth we have inner core and outer core. This is inner and this is outer. The outer core contains liquid iron. And because of the rotation of Earth, this liquid iron moves. When the liquid iron moves, it creates the magnetic field of Earth. Now, like any other magnet, also Earth has a north pole and a south pole. It has a north pole and a south pole. You might ask, if Earth has a magnetic field, why it doesn't attract the iron on Earth? Why it doesn't pull all the iron on it? It is because this magnetic field is weak, so it's not strong enough to pull the iron. This is called a compass. It is used to know the direction. Inside the compass there is a needle. This needle is a magnet. This magnet is attracted to the north and the south pole. It always points to the north and the south pole. That's how it shows us direction. When we know the north and south, we can tell the east and west. So this is the end of our lesson. If you have any question, please ask me, and study well.